Chapter 37-38, It's Done. Wang Xian was immersed in the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land with excitement in his eyes. In this way, he managed to fool the star behemoths. Although the things that Lin Wenluo researched are of little value, I didn't expect them to have such a huge effect. Wang Xian was a little excited. Once this beast's skin erupts with energy, the giant star beasts of the same race will be able to sense that you are not of the same race. However, things were different in this situation. The colossal star beast that he imitated was far away. The colossal star beasts here were afraid of the colossal star beast that he imitated, so they didn't dare to attack him. This allowed him to cultivate in peace here. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. With a shift of his mind, he sank to the deepest part of the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land and began to cultivate quietly. Ever since Wang Xian got the system, he had been relying on resources to achieve breakthroughs. He rarely cultivated by himself. But today, he felt that he could cultivate properly. The energy here was too thick. It was so strong that he seemed to be swallowing elixirs at all times. The fire elemental energy entered his body and transformed into dragon energy, which strengthened his body and energy. The dragon energy in Wang Xian's body was increasing at a terrifying speed. Due to the birth of a sovereign-level existence, as long as one didn't step into the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land, they wouldn't be attacked by the giant space beasts. This attracted more and more experts. The Phoenix clan's Fire Phoenix, the God Tiger clan's Flame Tiger, the Demon clan's Flame Demon, the Skeleton clan's Flame Skeleton, and so on. After the group of powerhouses arrived, they cultivated on the fiery planets. From time to time, they would look at the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land, their eyes filled with passion and helplessness. The center of the Fire Core Paradise is comparable to our Phoenix clan's Flame Nirvana. However, our Phoenix clan's Flame Nirvana only has some energy in reserve. If we could enter the center of the Fire Core Treasure Land to cultivate, we would have a chance to increase our cultivation by 2 or 3 levels. Unfortunately, the energy in the Fire Core Treasure Land is dozens of times more than the peak of our Flame Nirvana land, right? More or less. Although those star behemoths have always been in the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land, they don't absorb much flame energy because they don't have the flame attribute. Perhaps their absorption ability isn't as good as our venerable Great Fire Phoenixes. Alas, it's a pity that we can't enter. Outside the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land, the expert from Fire Phoenix said regretfully. If they could enter, they were confident that they would soar into the sky. Not only them, but the other fire attribute experts were also like this. But they could not get in. The astral beasts inside were too terrifying. No one had expected Wang Xian to have already entered the room to cultivate. Time passed day by day. There was no sun or moon in cultivation, and 10,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Xian entrenched himself in the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land and absorbed the power of flames crazily. The dragon energy in his body was also increasing at a terrifying speed. Buzz! On this day, he felt a surge of energy in his body. He hurriedly restrained the sudden burst of energy. Ding! Congratulations to host for leveling up and breaking through to the 9th Order Universe Venerable Realm. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through and comprehending the Dharma form, Berserk Dragon Star Explosion. Name, Wang Xian Race, 9 Origins Divine Dragon, 1 with the Dragon, Level, Universe Venerable Level 9, Divine Dragon Transformation 9th Transformation, Origin, 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough, Magic. Dominate the aquatic creatures. Dominate any aquatic creatures lower than your own level. Devour living things. Devour living things to extract the source. Control of the 5 elements cultivation technique. Divine Dragon Transformation Magic. Soul Assimilation, Spiritual Attachment Magic. Dragon. Eye Lock, 5 elements Dragon Claw. Yin-Yang World Breaker, 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale. Saint Dragon Shadow, Heavenly Dragon 8 Divisions, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Dharma Form, 8 Directions Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragons Doppelgangers, Towering Dragon Horns, Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Godly Tail Playing with Pearls, Dragon Breath of Life, Shadow Dragon Doppelganger, Netherworld Dragon Pursuit, Netherworld Dragon Transformation, Thunderstorm Dragon Life, Berserk. Dragon Star Explosion. Control of the laws, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, light, darkness, wind, Thunder God Nation. Dragon Palace possess Dragon Palace. Inborn Dragon Palace members, 8060450. Suppressing the explosion of energy, the system's voice sounded in Wang Xian's mind. He tried his best to suppress it. Fortunately, the energy did not spread out and attract the attention of the surrounding giant space beasts. Wang Xian opened his eyes and revealed a smile. It was several times faster than he had expected. He initially thought he would need tens of thousands of years to break through. Little did he expect that he could do it in just 10,000 years. After breaking through, Wang Xian's strength would be sufficient to contend with first-order sovereign space beasts. In other words, Wang Xian would be able to fight against fourth-order sovereigns. In fact, he would be much stronger than them. Coupled with the 5 elements grind, he would be able to kill them easily. At present, Wang Xian's strength was already at the pinnacle of the 9 Origins universe experts who had entered the Starry Sky universe. After all, there were no peak sovereigns among the experts who had entered the Starry Sky cosmos. Continue to improve at least one more realm, and truly step into the sovereign realm. Once I step past the peak of Venerable Realm and reach the sovereign realm, once I reach the sovereign realm, I will have strength comparable to a 6th-order sovereign. Wang Xian's eyes lit up with excitement. Moreover, he had discovered that there were no shackles for him to advance from the 9th-order Venerable Realm to the 1st-order Sovereign Realm. In other words, as long as he had sufficient resources, he would be able to break through directly. After breaking through, his strength would be comparable to a 6th-order sovereign. Combat strength at this level was already extremely terrifying. Continue to cultivate and strive to break through again. Wang Xian muttered to himself. A smile appeared on his face as he looked around and continued to cultivate. Time passed day by day, and tens of thousands of years passed. The Starry Sky cosmos was bustling with noise and excitement due to the entry of experts from the 9 Origins universe. More and more experts entered the Starry Sky cosmos. However, 10,000 years later, a sudden piece of news shook all the experts of the peak races in the 9 Origins universe. Not long after the 9 Origins universe opened, all the peak races had sent their peak sovereigns to enter the Starry Sky cosmos. Now, all of them had fallen. This news reached all the experts and disciples in the Starry Sky cosmos. This was because the Angel Powerhouse, the eldest son of the Radiant Angel King, was chased to the entrance by a terrifying star behemoth. That terrifying aura caused all the experts and disciples who had just entered the Starry Sky cosmos to die in an instant. They were crushed to death by the terrifying energy of the space beast. This matter instantly caused an uproar in the 9 Origins universe. Within the communication stone plate, this news also spread like wildfire. All the experts and disciples were discussing it. Later on, experts from the various peak races revealed that the 12 8th-order sovereigns sent by the 12 peak races were all killed. Chapter 3739. The news of the 12 8th-order sovereigns being killed by the giant space beasts caused a huge uproar. The expressions of the experts from the various peak powers turned ugly. Not a single 8th-order sovereign had returned alive. That confirmed one thing. Experts of the 8th-order sovereign realm and above would be hunted down by the giant space beasts if they entered the star cosmos. After all, the star cosmos was the territory of the giant space beasts. They could allow the weak and ants to enter their world. However, if the strong entered, it would be seen as an invasion. The powerful giant space beasts might even give the order to hunt them down. Therefore, after this investigation, the various peak powers no longer dared to allow 8th-order sovereigns and above to enter. After all, the resources needed to nurture 8th-order sovereigns were too much. Those who were able to cultivate to the 8th-order sovereign realm were existences that had survived a cataclysm. In other words, they had survived a cataclysm. Only a small number of geniuses were born in that cataclysm. After this incident, the various peak powers also ordered that 8th-order sovereigns and above were forbidden from entering the giant space beasts. If they really angered the terrifying giant space beasts, All the experts and disciples of the Nine Origins cosmos would die. Other than this news that caused a huge uproar, there were several other news that caused a huge uproar in the past 20,000 years. Another sovereign realm expert had been born. Moreover, it wasn't just one, but more than 20. Among these 20 experts, there were experts from the Invincible realm and experts from the various peak powers. These 20 experts did not include the disciples from the various peak powers. And this was only the known ones. How many were unknown? No one knew. Furthermore, this did not include the disciples from the various peak powers. In short, the breakthroughs of these experts caused a huge uproar. This was something that the disciples of the various Nine Origins cosmos did not dare to imagine. More and more disciples from the various Nine Origins cosmos came over. Even if it was dangerous, it was worth the risk. After all, some opportunities were too terrifying. In fact, this was normal. The star cosmos was a powerful cosmos that was not weaker than the Nine Origins cosmos. The entire Nine Origins cosmos had given birth to 12 peak powers and many sovereign realm experts. What about the star cosmos? Even though the giant space beasts had used up 50 to 60% of the treasures, there were still 40 to 50% left. Logically speaking, if all these treasures and resources were obtained by the disciples of the Nine Origins cosmos, it was possible that hundreds of thousands or even millions of sovereign realm experts would be born. This was the importance of opportunities and resources. Wang Xian had no idea what was happening in the outside world. He was constantly cultivating and had forgotten about time and space. 10,000 years, 20,000 years, 50,000 years, 150,000 years. Boom. A series of roars exploded in Wang Xian's mind once again as surges of energy rose from his body. Wang Xian, who was already prepared, had completely concealed the surges of energy. Ding. Congratulations to host for breaking through to the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Ding. Congratulations to host for breaking through and establishing the Nine Origin Dragon domain. Name, Wang Xian Race, Nine Origins Divine Dragon, one with the dragon. Rank, First Order Universe Ruler, 9 changes return to 1, Origin, 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough, Magic. Dominate the aquatic creatures. Dominate any aquatic creatures lower than your own level. Devour living things. Devour living things to extract the source. Control of the 5 elements cultivation technique. Divine Dragon Transformation Divine Powers. Soul Capture, Spirit Attachment Nomological Divine Abilities, Dragon. Eye Lock, 5 Elements Dragon Claw, Yin-Yang World Breaker, 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale, Holy Dragon Shadow, 8 Divisions of the Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Law of Dharma, 8 Directional Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragon Clone, Towering Dragon Horn, Great Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Godly Tail Playing with Pearls, Dragon Breath of Life, Shadow Dragon Clone, Dark Dragon Pursuit, Dark Dragon Conversion, Wind Thunder Dragon Life, Berserk Dragon Star Burst. Domain, 9 Origin Dragon Domain Law of Mastery, Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind, Lightning Divine Kingdom, Dragon Palace Possess Dragon Palace, Innate. Dragon Palace members, 8060450 inch. After 150,000 years, I've broken through again. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face as he felt a little excited. After cultivating for 160,000 years in the Fire Heart Treasure Land, he had completed 2 breakthroughs. This time, it was a qualitative breakthrough. His strength was comparable to a 6th Order Sovereign. With his current strength, he could kill a 3rd Order Sovereign Realm Giant Space Beast. This strength was already very terrifying. The next time I want to make a breakthrough, I'll probably have to go into seclusion for millions of years. The speed of improvement is getting slower and slower. Wang Xian murmured. He was already very satisfied that his strength had increased to this level. His eyes flickered as he looked to the side. According to his investigation, the 3 giant space beasts closest to him should be in the 3rd Order Sovereign Realm. With his strength, he could fight against 3 of them alone. Of course, he wasn't going to attack the 3 giant space beasts. He didn't want to die yet. Instead, after this breakthrough, he could secretly summon the fire attribute experts from the Dragon Palace. If the fire attribute experts from the Dragon Palace could cultivate here, Wang Xian was sure that at least 5 out of 10 would break through. If a peak exalted realm disciple were to cultivate here for tens of thousands of years, at least 5 out of 10 would be able to make a breakthrough. The energy here was too terrifying. The energy here was too terrifying, too terrifying. As for the 5 who couldn't break through the shackles, Wang Xian had ways to help them. That was to absorb the energy at all costs and then consume the eternal pregnancy fruit. Just like Wu Sha and the other crazy demons, they could break through with brute force. In other words, as long as they had enough time to accumulate and consume treasures like the eternal pregnancy fruit, the chances of breaking through were 100%. This was definitely a very crazy thing. Wang Xian's eyes were burning with passion. He took out the communication stone plate that Wu Sha had made and immediately sent a message. What's the situation with the disciples of the Dragon Palace? After sending the message, he waited quietly. Dragon King, over the past 20,000 years, 13 of our disciples have broken through to the sovereign realm. In addition, with your resources and the resources that the disciples of the Dragon Palace have received, we now have about 3,500 disciples in the peak venerable realm. We have gained a lot. However, over 20,000 disciples of the Dragon Palace have fallen in these 20,000 years. Soon, Enlai, who was in charge of passing the message, sent a message. In the beginning, the Dragon Palace only sent a few thousand disciples into the starry universe. But as time passed, with the help of the powerful resources of the starry universe, the Dragon Palace sent over another 100,000 disciples. However, the death rate was nearly 1 in 5 out of 10. This was already a huge number. Fortunately, Enlai was here with the branch of the soul returning wood to revive them. All in all, over the past 20,000 years, the strength of the Dragon Palace had improved tremendously. The number of experts in the sovereign realm had increased by 13. Very good. Chapter 3740. Wang Xian was very satisfied with the improvement of the disciples of Dragon Palace. A dozen sovereigns were born in hundreds of thousands of years. This number was not small. However, none of the disciples of Dragon Palace obtained great opportunities. The dozen disciples were all at the peak of the venerable realm. It was a normal breakthrough. However, if we can bring the fire attribute disciples here, it will definitely improve the Dragon Palace greatly. Wang Xian murmured. He immediately informed all the fire attribute experts of Dragon Palace and instructed Enlai. He asked Enlai to bring the fire attribute disciples here. With the beast skin supporting a space, the disciples of Dragon Palace would improve tremendously if they could cultivate here. He just didn't know if they could succeed. There shouldn't be any problem. He thought to himself. He was already very strong now. The 3 giant beasts of starry sky closest to him were only third-order sovereigns. Wang Xian could use his energy to conceal himself from the giant beasts of starry sky. As long as the disciples of Dragon Palace could come here safely, they could cultivate here slowly. Wang Xian looked around and soon, Enlai sent a message. Everything is ready. Wang Xian shielded a space below him and placed the demonic spiritual altar below. Soon, Enlai and a fire divine dragon of Dragon Palace arrived. The fire divine dragon was in human form and had restrained all its aura. Coupled with Wang Xian's concealment, no one noticed the sudden arrival of Enlai and the rest. Greetings, Dragon King. Enlai and the disciples of Dragon Palace immediately transmitted their voices respectfully. You are now cultivating in seclusion here. Remember, you must restrain your mind. Otherwise, you will be destroyed if anything goes wrong. Wang Xian reminded him with a solemn tone. Yes, Dragon King. The disciple of Dragon Palace answered immediately. He sat cross-legged and began cultivating immediately. Because of the obstruction of Wang Xian's body, the giant beasts of starry sky couldn't see him. As long as he didn't display the prowess of a divine dragon, there wouldn't be a problem. He looked around and smiled. Enlai, continue to bring another 1,000 fire attribute disciples of Dragon Palace here. Seeing that there were no accidents, Wang Xian immediately ordered. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai answered immediately. Before long, 1,000 disciples of the Dragon Palace were sitting cross-legged at the spot where Wang Xian had been standing. Streams of fire attribute energy flowed into their bodies, causing their strength to rise rapidly. This was a paradise for fire attribute experts to cultivate. For the disciples of the Dragon Palace who hadn't reached the Dominator level, it was a holy land for rapid transformation. Phew, not a big problem. Looking at the group of disciples cultivating, Wang Xian revealed a smile. There were 7 or 8 species of star behemoths in the center of the Flame Heart Blessed Land. Each of them occupied an area and didn't disturb each other. Over the past hundreds of thousands of years, Wang Xian could also sense that there were galactic beasts that had made breakthroughs. The commotion was huge. However, the other star behemoths only glanced at him briefly before continuing their breakthroughs. River water does not interfere with well water. If I want to break through again, it will take me millions of years. There is no need for me to stay here for the time being. I can go to other places to look for opportunities. At this moment, Wang Xian had the thought of getting out. Even though this was a treasured land for cultivation, there were plenty of resources in the universe. With his current strength, he would be able to hunt down third-order sovereign realm space beasts. He could go and look for other opportunities. Even if he hunted down a third-order sovereign realm space beast, he could increase the number of venerable realm peak disciples in the Dragon Palace by 1,000. This was much more suitable than cultivating here. As he thought to himself, he took out some robots that he got from Lin Wenluo to support the beast's skin. Enlai, bring me out. In addition, you will stay here for the time being. Once the surrounding space behemoths make a move, immediately lead them away. Wang Xian immediately instructed Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded his head. Soon, Enlai set up a devil spirit altar not far away. Moving their figures, they flew out with Wang Xian. Boom! After flying out of the Flame Heart Blessed Land, Wang Xian couldn't help but stretch his body. Waves of terrifying energy surged into the surroundings. In the center of the Flame Heart Blessed Land, he had to constantly suppress his energy to prevent it from spreading. Now, there was no need for that. At this moment, he was standing in a remote corner of a flaming planet in the Flame Heart Blessed Land. He moved his body and looked around. There are more and more experts and disciples here. They even set up a teleportation array here. Wang Xian's eyes scanned the surroundings, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. It seems that after cultivating in seclusion for more than 100,000 years, this place has changed greatly. He took out the communication stone plate and checked the situation in the past 100,000 years. When he saw the various information on the communication stone plate, his eyes lit up. So many things have happened in the past 100,000 years. I know that more than 20 experts from high-level races have broken through to the sovereign realm, but the most important news is that a group of experts from peak races have been killed. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. The news of a group of experts at the 8th Order Sovereign Realm and above being killed was very important to him. What did this mean? This meant that in the Starry Sky universe, the strongest expert among the peak races was only in existence at the 7th Order Sovereign Realm. And he was in existence at the 6th Order Sovereign Realm. With the speed of the Dark Ghost Avatar and the unbeginning Sacred Wings, he could escape from the hands of a 7th Order Sovereign. If the 5 Elements Grindstone and the Tai Chi Dragon Plate can keep up with my strength, then I will have the strength to fight against a 7th Order Sovereign. In the Starry Sky universe, I will not have to fear the peak races, and I will have the opportunity to obtain more resources. Wang Xian's heart was burning with excitement. This was a huge piece of good news for him. He looked around and checked the communication stone plate again. There were more and more cultivators gathering in the Flame Heart Blessed Land. There was a huge risk in gathering here. If there was a violent giant star beast attacking the surrounding experts and disciples, they would be in trouble. Therefore, as time passed, teleportation arrays were built here. Even if the giant star beast suddenly went berserk, they could escape immediately through the teleportation array. I'll make a trip to the Storm Continent first. After more than 100,000 years, there should be a lot of metal accumulated there. Wang Xian murmured as he flew towards a lively flaming planet. There was a teleportation array there that could teleport a certain distance, and he could save some time. Just as Wang Xian was about to fly over, a burst of energy suddenly erupted from a flaming planet not far away. Chapter 3741. Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. A surge of energy suddenly rose, attracting the attention of the surrounding experts and disciples. Wang Xian flew into the air and looked over curiously. On a fiery planet to the right, a gigantic sun suddenly rose up from the sky. Below the sun, there was a majestic shadow. What's going on? What happened? Is there a treasure? Let's go and take a look. Hurry, there might be a treasure. On the surrounding fiery planets, the experts looked over. Their eyes glowed as they immediately flew over. Wang Xian looked over and squinted his eyes, revealing a surprised look. An expert has broken through to the second-order universe sovereign realm, an expert from a pinnacle race? He murmured and hesitated for a moment. Then, his body moved and he also flew in that direction. Haha, there's no treasure here, only your flame tyrant. Congratulations on breaking through again, Patriarch. Congratulations on breaking through again, Patriarch. At this moment, a series of excited laughter rang out, accompanied by a series of respectful shouts. These voices caused the surrounding experts to pause for a moment. What? Heavenly Fire Patriarch broke through again? Patriarch broke through again? Heavenly Fire Patriarch? How is that possible? It's only been a few 100,000 years, and Heavenly Fire Patriarch broke through again? Heavenly Fire Patriarch broke through again. Doesn't that mean he has the strength of a second-order sovereign? How big was the opportunity that Heavenly Fire Patriarch obtained the last time? The eyes of the experts who were flying over shrunk slightly, and their faces were filled with shock. Heavenly Fire Patriarch was the first person to break through to the sovereign realm after entering the Star Universe. He was also the first expert to discover the Fire Heart Treasure Land. However, in just a few 100,000 years, he broke through again? This caused them to feel slightly incredulous. How long had it been? From a first-order sovereign to a second-order sovereign? How terrifying! Skyfire sect has already become a pinnacle race. Now that Heavenly Fire Patriarch has broken through again, Skyfire sect will have another huge development. It's hard to imagine what kind of treasure Heavenly Fire Patriarch obtained to improve so quickly. This is too heaven-defying. Patriarch Skyfire should be the one who obtained the greatest opportunity among all the experts. The surrounding discussions and shock continued to ring out. My Heavenly Fire sect is recruiting fire attribute experts. I will personally guide those who have reached the peak of the Venerable Realm. At this moment, the shadow under the sun above the fiery planet slowly solidified. Terrifying flames enveloped it, making it look extremely terrifying. The great sun above his head had risen by 2 levels. In this place, he fully deserved to be called the Flame Tyrant. Even the experts on the fiery planet occupied by the Fire Phoenix looked over with twinkling eyes. This heavenly fire ancestor must have obtained an extremely powerful treasure. To be able to break through to Sovereign Realm in such a short time and advance another level, he must have a treasure in his hands. One of the Fire Phoenixes looked over and his expression changed slightly. He flapped his wings slightly, a thoughtful look on his face. 100%. This speed of improvement is too terrifying. He definitely has some rare treasures in his hands. One of the Fire Phoenixes at the side also had a slightly heated gaze. This speed of improvement was too heaven-defying. It was so heaven-defying that they were a little jealous. Why don't we? One of the Fire Phoenixes looked at his companion with flickering eyes, a trace of murderous intent flashing in his eyes. If we make a move, it might not be a good influence. The Fire Phoenix at the side turned into his human form and frowned slightly. Not a good influence? We Phoenixes don't need to care about the opinions of ants. The cataclysm will arrive in a few billion years. We need to improve our strength as soon as possible. The Fire Phoenix said. If the elders in our clan find out about this, they might blame us. The other Fire Phoenix was still hesitant. My grandfather is an elder. It's fine. If we can get a supreme treasure, it'll be worth it. The Fire Phoenix's eyes were filled with determination. He looked at his companion beside him and said, "If you don't make a move, I'll make a move." If he really has a powerful supreme treasure in his hands, it's worth it to make a move. The hesitant Fire Phoenix gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with murderous intent. They looked at each other and immediately flew forward. Not far away from them, a few Fire Phoenixes noticed their actions and their eyes flickered. "I should have made a move first," one of the Fire Phoenixes murmured as he looked on emotionlessly. Wang Xian hovered in front of the blazing star, looking at the experts from the Phoenix clan who were brimming with power. But at this time, he sensed something and looked to the side. 2 Fire Phoenixes were flying over at high speed. Based on Wang Xian's senses, they had the strength of a third-order universe lord. Chirp chirp. He, Flame Monarch. Who dares to call himself the Flame Monarch in front of our Fire Phoenix? How arrogant and conceited. Suddenly, a phoenix chirp was heard, followed by a voice. Above the blazing star, Ancestor Skyfire, who was under the sun, looked over and was stunned. Fire Phoenix, 2 Fire Phoenixes, what are they doing? Are they dissatisfied with Ancestor Skyfire? Calling themselves the Flame Monarch in front of the Fire Phoenix? That must have angered the Fire Phoenix. When the surrounding disciples saw this, they were slightly shocked and whispered to each other. "My 2 lords, my disciple was boasting shamelessly just now and offended the 2 Fire Phoenixes. Please forgive me." When Patriarch Skyfire saw the 2 Fire Phoenixes flying over with a denouncing look on their faces, he quickly explained. He lowered himself to a very, very low level. Although he had broken through to the second-order sovereign realm, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of the Phoenix clan. After all, they were a powerful pinnacle race. There was still a huge gap between them. The pinnacle races are not to be offended. Anyone who dares to offend the pinnacle races will have to pay a terrible price. One of the Fire Phoenixes stared at him and said coldly. An imposing aura surged from his body. His words made Ancestor Skyfire's expression change drastically. His eyes were filled with a trace of solemnity and embarrassment. "My lord, I was in the wrong just now. I was talking nonsense. If you want to punish someone, punish me." At this time, a middle-aged man knelt on the ground and shouted in fear. "Ancestor Skyfire, follow us." The 2 Fire Phoenixes frowned when they saw this scene. Their eyes fell on Ancestor Skyfire as they ordered coldly. Their words made Ancestor Skyfire's heart tighten again. Chapter 3742. Ancestor Skyfire floated in the air, his expression constantly changing. Especially when he heard the words of the 2 experts from the Phoenix clan, he had a bad feeling in his heart. The situation in front of him was already very obvious. The Phoenix clan would not let him off so easily. As for why they would not let him off and why they would make such a big fuss over nothing, it was obvious that they were after his opportunity. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. He had been too high profile. The speed of his improvement was too fast. So much so that he had attracted the attention of the Phoenix clan. Once he followed them, it was obvious that he would either have to hand over all his opportunities or die. In fact, to prevent his revenge, the Phoenix clan might even kill him even if he handed over his opportunities. The world of the strong was this tragic. "Lords Phoenix, can you give me a chance to redeem myself?" Ancestor Skyfire bowed and asked with a bitter expression. When the surrounding disciples saw this, they pursed their lips. They could vaguely guess the intentions of the 2 Phoenixes. They wanted to snatch the treasure. "You talk too much nonsense. I'll give you 2 seconds to choose." Seeing that he had rejected, the Fire Phoenix's expression darkened and she said coldly. Ancestor Skyfire paused for a moment and his expression kept changing. "This time I have sinned. Lords of the Phoenix clan, please punish me." Patriarch Heavenly Fire took a deep breath, bowed again and said, it was impossible for him to leave with them. With the strength of the Phoenix clan, he did not know what would happen. Here, under the gaze of the surrounding disciples, there was a last glimmer of hope. Courting death. However, to Heavenly Fire Ancestor's horror, one of the fire phoenixes did not hesitate in the slightest. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure instantly appeared beside Heavenly Fire Ancestor. His phoenix claw instantly grabbed Ancestor Skyfire's head. What? Ancestor Skyfire's face was filled with horror and despair when he saw this instantaneous destructive attack. Ancestor. The surrounding experts and disciples of the Heavenly Fire sect had a drastic change in expression as they shouted loudly. However, at this moment, no one dared to make a move. No one had the strength to do so. The claw of the phoenix landed on Patriarch Skyfire's head and crushed it. The terrifying power of the phoenix engulfed Patriarch Skyfire's body. Patriarch Heavenly Fire was instantly engulfed. His strength was only at the Second-Order Sovereign Realm. Compared to the Third-Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix, there was still a huge gap. To think that the Phoenix race would actually kill Old Master Heavenly Flames. This is a direct attack to kill. This old ancestor Tianhua is too miserable. It wasn't easy for him to rise up, but he was killed by an expert of the Phoenix clan. None of the surrounding disciples had expected such a scene. They looked at him in shock. As the first person to break through to the Second-Order Sovereign Realm, the Heavenly Fire Ancestor was undoubtedly everyone's hope and motivation. Everyone hoped that they would be able to obtain a great opportunity like Patriarch Heavenly Fire. But now, Heavenly Fire Patriarch, who had obtained a great opportunity, was killed by the Phoenix clan, a top clan. What? You're courting death? How dare you challenge the dignity of our Phoenix clan? After killing Old Master Heavenly Fire, the eyes of the Fire Phoenix were filled with hostility. He sensed the corpse of Old Master Heavenly Fire, waved his arm, and kept it. Wang Xian's eyes flickered when he saw this scene from the side. These top clans were really unscrupulous. The purpose of the two Fire Phoenixes was too obvious. So obvious that everyone could tell that they were here for the resources of Old Master Heavenly Fire. His eyes swept across the two Fire Phoenixes, and then looked at the fiery star occupied by the Fire Phoenix. The corner of his mouth curved slightly. All the surrounding disciples did not dare to say anything when they saw this scene. Is this the Phoenix clan? The Old Master Heavenly Fire from a top clan finally obtained a great opportunity and broke through to the Sovereign Realm. But he was killed by you guys. The resources of the Nine Origins cosmos have always been occupied by the top clans like you. Now that the top clans have obtained a great opportunity, they are being hunted and killed by the Phoenix clan. The experts and disciples of the other top clans are really ants in the eyes of the Phoenix clan. But at this time, a voice suddenly reverberated in the surroundings and reached everyone's ears. When everyone heard this voice, they were slightly taken aback. Their faces were filled with astonishment and shock. They immediately looked towards the source of the voice. Everyone's eyes were on that figure. The person who had spoken was naturally Wang Xian. If it were any other race, Wang Xian might not have opened his mouth or offended the other party for no reason. However, Wang Xian was different. But it was different when the other party was from the Phoenix clan. He and the Phoenix clan. There was enmity. When the two Fire Phoenixes heard Wang Xian's sarcastic words, their faces darkened, and their eyes were filled with coldness. Their daunting auras charged towards Wang Xian directly. You're courting death for insulting the Fire Phoenix clan. One of the Fire Phoenixes bellowed with murderous intent. The terrifying flames swept out, and even a First-Order Sovereign Realm expert would be incinerated in an instant under the flames. However, what shocked everyone was that the flames did not have any effect. That figure was still standing there calmly. He looks like the Dragon King. That's right, he's the Dragon King. Dragon King? The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Judging by his appearance, he should be the Dragon King. Just at this time, someone recognized Wang Xian. The beast's skin made by Lin Wenluo was in the center of the Fire Heart Treasure Land. Wang Xian's appearance was no longer concealed. In addition, he was resisting the faint aura emitted by the flames. Immediately, Some experts recognized him. Wang Xian was now a very famous expert in the Nine Origins universe, let alone the others. He was the Dragon King who led the Dragon Palace back to the pinnacle. He was an invincible existence that swept across the invincible domain. He, as expected of the Phoenix clan. You treat those below the pinnacle as ants. Back then, when I was in the invincible domain, the experts of your Phoenix clans secretly sent a deacon disciple to kill me. Now, because Ancestor Skyfire obtained a powerful opportunity, he was killed by you guys with a simple reason. But, do you still want to eliminate me now? Wang Xian stared at them and asked sarcastically. His words once again caused everyone in the surroundings to be filled with shock. At the same time, the eyes of the experts and disciples flickered. Chapter 3743, Dragon King of Dragon Palace? Upon hearing Wang Xian, the two fire phoenixes stared at him coldly. Dragon King of Dragon Palace. They had naturally heard of this name. In fact, they even knew some things that had happened in the invincible domain. Back then, a large number of disciples from the Fire Phoenix race had besieged the Dragon King, but all of them had been killed by him. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words and seeing his mocking expression, the two Fire Phoenixes were embarrassed. They had publicly announced that they had killed Heavenly Flame Ancestor for the opportunity he had obtained. If this news were to spread, it would indeed have a great impact on the Fire Phoenix clan. Dragon King of Dragon Palace, do you know what you are saying? One of the Fire Phoenixes stared at him with murderous intent. What am I saying? I'm speaking the truth, am I not? There were so many experts and disciples watching. They were not blind or deaf. Everyone had their own opinions about what had happened just now. Just this reason alone was enough to kill Heavenly Fire Great Ancestor, who had finally obtained a fated chance. Was this the Phoenix clan? I've seen it for myself. Wang Xian continued, his eyes filled with mockery. The surrounding experts and disciples were filled with admiration when they heard this. Everyone had clearly seen what had happened just now. Obviously, the Fire Phoenixes had killed and snatched the treasure. Otherwise, why would they have kept the corpse after killing him? This was too obvious. At the same time, they felt sorry for the loss of their own kind. No matter what, Heavenly Flame Ancestor had broken through to the sovereign realm from a high-level race after obtaining an opportunity. He had become the envy of many experts and disciples from high-level races. And because he had obtained a huge opportunity, he had been killed by experts from the Phoenix race? Because the Fire Phoenixes wanted to snatch his opportunity? That was simply too tragic. Just as the Dragon King had said, the resources of the Nine-Source universe were already occupied by the pinnacle races. In the end, he had risked his life to obtain a huge opportunity, only to have it snatched away by experts from the pinnacle races? Who could accept this? Today, it was Heavenly Flame Ancestor. What if they obtained the opportunity tomorrow and were discovered by the pinnacle races and killed? Although there was no such thing as fairness in the universe, the actions of the pinnacle races were too chilling and horrifying. Spreading lies. Dragon King of Dragon Palace, you must be courting death. The two Fire Phoenixes' faces darkened. They flapped their wings slightly and roared with murderous intent. Die! One of the Fire Phoenixes flapped its wings and directly charged over. I'm just trying to mislead the public. Fire Phoenix, justice is in the hearts of the people. Your actions are no different from treating the disciples of the Peak clans like ants. In the future, if a disciple of a Peak clan obtains a great opportunity, I think you will kill him and seize his opportunity. Your Phoenix clan is really despicable. Wang Xian shouted loudly with disdain in his eyes when he saw a Fire Phoenix charging at him. Dragon King, be careful. Oh no, the Dragon King is in trouble. These two Fire Phoenixes are extremely powerful. This is bad. Although the Dragon King is very strong, he is definitely not a match for the Fire Phoenix. At present, the Dragon Palace has not been upgraded to the pinnacle race. When the Fire Phoenix launched its attack, some of the disciples couldn't help but discuss. This time, they stood beside the Dragon King. Everything that happened just now was just as the Dragon King had said. This caused every disciple to feel extremely aggrieved. Could it be that the disciples of high-level clans didn't have a chance to stand out? Could it be that the opportunities they obtained were going to be used by the peak clans? At this moment, all the disciples hoped that the Dragon King could leave this place as soon as possible. You are trying to mislead the public with your lies and slander the Phoenix clan. Today, I'll slaughter a puny Dragon King like you. When the fire phoenix that was charging over heard the voices around him, his eyes were filled with violent murderous intent. Chirp chirp. He let out a phoenix cry as a ball of flames gathered in front of him and charged towards Wang Xian. Do you really think I'm the old ancestor of heavenly fire that you can kill as you please? Wang Xian looked at his attack with a cold expression. In the next moment, before the flames of the phoenix could reach him, he had already disappeared. Wang Xian's figure appeared beside that fire phoenix. Just a distance of 12 meters. Brother Ming, watch out. When the other fire phoenix saw Wang Xian appearing beside his comrade out of nowhere, his eyes narrowed and he quickly shouted, "Kill him. I've been stating a fact. However, since you guys want to kill me, then die." Wang Xian stared at the fire phoenix beside him. His arm turned into a dragon claw and sank into the body of the fire phoenix instantly. What? How is this possible? The fire phoenix that was attacked trembled violently. His eyes widened and were filled with disbelief. How did the Dragon King of Dragon Palace appear beside him in an instant? Why couldn't he sense his speed? He was in existence at the Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm. If he couldn't even sense the speed of the Dragon King, then what about his strength? How strong was he? Fifth Order Universe Lord? However, he didn't have much time to think. He could feel the vitality in his body depleting rapidly. Ah, Phoenix Coil. Sensing death approaching, he roared with all his might. Umph. However, a cold snort sounded in his mind and a violent tremor formed in his body. He felt his breathing stagnating as he lost control of his energy and his consciousness gradually blurred. I'm not someone that a puny fire phoenix like you can kill. Wang Xian stared at him coldly. With a wave of his arm, his corpse disappeared instantly. In the next moment, he attacked the other fire phoenix. How dare you? How dare you kill an expert of my Phoenix clan? Dragon King, you're courting death. My Phoenix clan will definitely annihilate your Dragon Palace. On the other side, when Fire Phoenix saw this scene and Wang Xian charging towards her, she roared in shock and anger. The Dragon King of Dragon Palace had killed a comrade of the same level as him in an instant. A Fire Phoenix that killed a Third Order Universe Lord in an instant. Third Order Cosmos Sovereigns, they were already extremely strong. However, this Dragon King could kill it in an instant. How strong was the Dragon King? What realm was the Dragon King in? That Fire Phoenix was killed by the Dragon King in an instant. Killed in an instant. What kind of strength does the Dragon King have? How can he be so terrifying? Too strong, simply too strong. A Third Order Sovereign Fire Phoenix. Is the Dragon King also a sovereign? He's even more terrifying than before. At this time, exclamations of shock rang out from the surrounding area. All the experts and disciples looked on blankly. Killing a Third Order Sovereign Fire Phoenix in an instant? Is this the Dragon King? Chapter 3744. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with coldness when he heard the threat from the Fire Phoenix. If there weren't the rules of the pinnacle races in the Nine Origins universe, the Dragon Palace would have been annihilated by the Angels or the Phoenix race. Now that he was in the Starry Sky universe, there were no rules. The strongest ruled. With the suppression of the Starry Sky universe, Eighth Order Sovereigns and above would not dare to step into the Starry Sky universe. With Wang Xian's current strength, what was there to be afraid of? He had suffered for so long in the Nine Origins universe. Now that his strength had broken through, he couldn't care less about the pinnacle races. As long as someone dared to provoke him, he would kill them. At most, he could use the Void Pagoda to bring the Dragon Palace to the Starry Sky universe. With the Void Pagoda and Enlai's ability, he could bring the Dragon Palace to another place. Die! Wang Xian came to the side of another fire phoenix in an instant. His eyes were filled with coldness and disdain. The threat of death descended upon them. No, no, no. Senior, save me. The fire phoenix trembled violently when he sensed Wang Xian's terrifying speed. His face was filled with horror as he cried for help. The moment his voice fell, a group of fire phoenixes on the fiery planet occupied by the fire phoenixes looked over immediately. They were neither near nor far from here. When the first fire phoenix was killed, they didn't see it. Now that they heard the terrified cry for help, the fire phoenixes soared into the sky. They flapped their phoenix wings and flew over immediately. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The cries of the phoenix rang out. Who dares to attack the phoenix race? A fire phoenix emitting an incomparably powerful aura roared with a cold expression. However, just as he finished his sentence, Wang Xian's dragon claws landed on the body of the fire phoenix, killing it completely. He looked over and saw more than 20 fire phoenixes flying towards him immediately. The fire phoenixes were emitting towering flames. You're courting death. No matter which pinnacle race you are from, you must pay the price for killing a disciple of the phoenix race. When they saw the fire phoenix being killed, the group of fire phoenixes was filled with rage. Terrifying murderous aura swept over. Not only was the terrifying flame not hot at all, but it made people feel cold all over. Hiss! This Dragon King killed another fire phoenix in an instant. His strength is too strong. Not good, the rest of the fire phoenix experts are coming. Oh no, the Dragon King is in trouble. In the surrounding area, the group of experts and disciples watched with a slight change in their expressions when they saw Wang Xian killing another fiery phoenix in an instant and a group of fiery phoenixes charging over. They were shocked by the Dragon King's strength. Similarly, they did not want the Dragon King to be besieged and killed. This Dragon King is really strong. His rise is simply too fast. Killing a third-order sovereign realm phoenix in an instant. Is this strength of a fifth-order sovereign? This Dragon King must have had a great opportunity. More than 100,000 years ago, his battle strength was only comparable to a second-order sovereign realm expert, right? Why is it so terrifying now? This Dragon King must have obtained a powerful inheritance from the Divine Dragon clan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have improved so quickly. However, he might be in trouble this time. A group of fire phoenixes is charging over. It's going to be difficult for him to escape. On a fiery planet not far away, dozens of Divine Tiger Clan powerhouses looked over in their direction with astonished looks on their faces. They did not expect the Dragon King to be able to explode with such terrifying strength. Wang Xian saw more than 20 fire phoenixes flying over, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. One sixth-order sovereign realm fire phoenix, and the rest are below sixth-order sovereign realm. With a wave of his arm, he kept the fire phoenix's corpse, and his eyes flickered. Although the fire heart treasure ground was a huge treasure ground, there weren't many strong powerhouses cultivating there because they couldn't enter the core area. After all, it was extremely difficult to break through to the seventh-order sovereign realm on a planet near the fire heart treasure land. Even if they could break through, it might take hundreds of millions of years, or even longer. It was better to go to the Starry Sky universe to find other opportunities. It was already a special situation to have a sixth-order sovereign realm expert here. Boom, boom, boom. More than 20 fire phoenixes flew over and surrounded him in an instant. Each of them stared at him with murderous intent. Seeing their comrade's corpse being kept, the fire phoenix's eyes were filled with rage. Hee, after killing the young ones, the old ones are here? Wang Xian stared at them without the slightest fear. His eyes swept across them, and his face was full of mockery. Divine Dragon's might, Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? Your Dragon Palace is really courting death. How dare you kill an expert of our Phoenix clan? I can now announce that the doomsday of your Dragon Palace is here. In the center, the Sixth Order Universe Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix said with a cold expression. Killing a Sovereign Realm expert of the Phoenix clan had touched the bottom line of a peak race. The Dragon Palace must be destroyed. Otherwise, Where would the dignity of the Phoenix clan be? Hee hee, the experts of your Phoenix clan want to kill me. Am I supposed to stand here and let them kill me? Can I fight back? Upon hearing their words, Wang Xian's eyes also emitted murderous intent as he spoke in a similarly eerie tone. You deserve to die, Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. After killing you, our Phoenix clan will issue a kill order to annihilate your Dragon Palace. You don't know what's good for you. How dare you provoke our Phoenix clan just because you obtained some inheritance? Do you think your Dragon Palace is the peak of the Dragon Clan? The Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix in the center roared coldly. He flapped his wings, and a dazzling fiery feather pierced towards Wang Xian. You're courting death. He let out a low roar. Killing an expert of the Phoenix clan is an unforgivable crime. Just wait for the entire Dragon Palace to be buried with you. Damn it. Soon, the bloodline of the Divine Dragon will disappear completely. The group of fire phoenixes around him also commented coldly. It's over. The Phoenix clan is too domineering. They want to annihilate the Dragon King and the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace is in deep trouble now. The Dragon King shouldn't have provoked the Phoenix clan. But wasn't the Divine Dragon clan on good terms with the Phoenix clan in the past? Why is the Phoenix clan treating the Divine Dragon bloodline this way? When the experts and disciples saw the Dragon King being surrounded, their expressions changed. Over 20 fire phoenixes charged over, and one of them had a terrifying aura. How could the Dragon King resist? Chapter 3745. The commotion around the Fire Heart Treasure Ground had attracted the attention of all the experts and disciples. Their gazes were fixated on Lin Fan, staring at the attack that was heading towards the Dragon Palace. Is the Dragon King going to die? How can we block such a terrifying attack? I don't care what race you are or what your background is. If you want to kill me, I'll kill you. If you want to destroy my Dragon Palace, I'll destroy you. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and looked at the flaming wings that were attacking him. He stretched out his palm and immediately turned it into a dragon claw. In the next moment, a deafening roar resounded. Wang Xian had transformed into a divine dragon. The huge divine dragon body was covered by a leaf. To the outside world, he looked like a green dragon. However, there was a pair of strange wings on his back. The energy on the wings was a little violent. Boom! Wang Xian's dragon claw landed on the flaming feathers and a wave of energy extinguished the flames. What? When the fire phoenix saw that Wang Xian had blocked her attack, she was stunned for a moment. Her face was filled with astonishment. This attack was at the level of a Sixth Order Universe Sovereign. Yet, it was blocked by the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. What did this mean? It meant that the Dragon King of Dragon Palace also had the strength of a Sixth Order Sovereign. You're the ones who will die. Wang Xian stared at them, his eyes filled with violence. Soaring Cloud Dragon. 8-directional Dragon Pillar. Wang Xian roared and instantly displayed the law of Dharma. The surroundings were instantly shrouded by clouds. The unbeginning saint wings flapped violently and Wang Xian's figure disappeared in an instant. Be careful, the Dragon King's strength is at the Sixth Order Universe Sovereign Realm. When the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix saw this, his eyes narrowed, and he let out a loud roar. Bam! However, in just an instant, a series of screams were heard. Wang Xian's speed was comparable to a Seventh Order Sovereign. Among the group of phoenixes, only one was at the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm. The rest were below the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm. Moreover, there were a few First or Second Order Sovereigns. They surrounded Wang Xian, but faced with Wang Xian's counterattack, they could not react in time. The dragon tail swept across, and the fire phoenixes were instantly killed. Damn it, open the domain space. The Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix roared anxiously. Fire Phoenix whirled. He continued to roar, and streams of flames instantly rose to the surroundings. The terrifying flames seemed to envelop the entire space. Fire Phoenix whirled. Fire Phoenix whirled. When the rest of the Fire Phoenixes heard this, they immediately roared loudly. Their voices trembled slightly. None of them had expected the Dragon King to possess the strength of a sixth-order sovereign. Moreover, he was able to kill 4 to 5 of their fire phoenixes in an instant. One by one, the fire phoenixes unleashed their strongest attacks. Domain was the mark of a ruler rank expert. Once he activated his domain, his strength would increase exponentially. Within the domain, you are the master. The only thing that could deal with a domain was a domain. Hee with just you guys? All of you will die today. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them with disdain and his body trembled slightly. 9 Origins Dragon Domain, Buzz. In an instant, the entire battlefield underwent a tremendous change. The energy began to distort, and flames shot out in all directions. This place seemed to have become a separate world. In the surrounding area, a group of experts and disciples flew back in shock. The Dragon King is so strong. He can actually withstand the attack of a 6th-order sovereign fire phoenix. Is this the strength of the Dragon King? Hiss, the Dragon King's strength is no weaker than a 6th-order sovereign. Oh gosh, a few more fire phoenixes have been killed by the Dragon King. The group of experts and disciples who were sent flying backwards roared in shock. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, although the Dragon King was known as Invincible, he was only below the sovereign realm. At the very most, he could kill a first-order sovereign realm expert. But now, in just hundreds of thousands of years, he possessed the strength of a 6th-order sovereign? Isn't this too sick? How could an expert break through so quickly? The sudden battle made the celestial tigers on the blazing stars suck in a breath of cold air when they sensed Wang Xian's strength. The surrounding experts from the Peak clans also trembled, their faces filled with disbelief. Could the Dragon King have obtained the inheritance of the Water Divine Dragon when he was at his peak? This is the only explanation. The Dragon King must have obtained the inheritance of the Water Divine Dragon. Otherwise, he couldn't have broken through so quickly. The celestial tigers growled. This was the only explanation. To increase his strength to such a level in hundreds of thousands of years was simply terrifying. Even among the peak races, this was an unbelievable existence. There could only be one explanation. The Dragon King must have obtained the inheritance of the Water Divine Dragon. The Divine Dragon race had a supreme expert. The Divine Dragon race during its peak was one of the more powerful races. It was also one of the stronger ones. It was because the Divine Dragon race had a heavenly Yuan creation realm existence. Also because the Divine Dragon race had a heavenly Yuan creation realm existence, the Divine Dragon race was known as the King of the Marine race, the Overlord of the Sea. When the Dragon Might was released, all the marine races submitted. The Dragon King might have obtained the inheritance of that person. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Oh no, our senior Luan and the rest have encountered an expert. Go over immediately. Stop cultivating for now and head over immediately to provide assistance. At the same time, a large number of fire phoenixes were cultivating on the stars occupied by the fire phoenixes. There were sovereigns, but 80% of them were below the sovereign realm. Close to 200 fire phoenixes flapped their huge flaming wings and flew over when they saw the situation. Phoenix cries rang out. Who dares to provoke our fire phoenix race? Are you courting death? Which peak race's expert is it? Many of the fire phoenixes who had been cultivating in seclusion did not know what was happening in front of them. They roared with killing intent. 6th Order Sovereign, I'll kill you first. At the same time, when the Fire Phoenix World and 9 Origins Dragon Domain appeared, they felt as though they were in a special world. In this world, there was Wang Xian's domain and the Fire Phoenix World. When the two domains collided, a special burst of energy erupted. Wang Xian could feel that his domain was clashing with theirs. His gaze locked onto the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix, and he pounced towards it. The unbeginning sacred wings erupted with all its strength. At the same time, 4 dark ghost avatars appeared beside him. He wanted to kill this 6th Order Sovereign Fire Phoenix. Chapter 3746, Boom Boom Boom. Wang Xian's speed was much faster than the 6th Order Sovereign Fire Phoenix. When Huang Xiaolong flew over, the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix did not show any signs of panic on its face. He could tell that Wang Xian's speed was much faster than his. However, he could sense that Wang Xian's attack power was still at the 6th Order Sovereign Realm. As long as he used area of effect attacks to defend and counterattack, he would be able to defeat a 6th Order Sovereign. As for the Fire Phoenixes, they specialized in area of effect attacks. Chirp chirp. Dragon King, today is the day you die. He roared with a cold expression. His phoenix wings flapped violently as he locked onto Wang Xian's blurry figure and charged over. Boom boom boom. Streaks of flames turned into phoenix spirits that attacked in a wide range. The fire phoenixes in the surroundings also unleashed their strongest attacks at the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix's attack. Wang Xian chuckled and let out a roar. He charged towards the fire phoenix. On his left and right, the 4 dark ghost doppelgangers exuded the power of darkness. 4 streaks of darkness energy completely blocked the attacks of the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix, as well as the rest of the attacks. It was like a spear of darkness piercing through the blazing flames. The 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix stared blankly at Huang Xiaolong, and a look of astonishment appeared on her face. What's going on? What's that darkness? As the surroundings were shrouded by Wang Xian's soaring clouds, the fire phoenixes could not see what was happening in the distance. However, when they clearly saw a gust of darkness forcefully withstanding their attacks and charging straight at them, their pupils constricted and their faces were filled with shock. What's that? Dark ghost doppelganger? The 6th Order Sovereign Fire Phoenix looked at Wang Xian and the dark ghost doppelganger charging towards them with a horrified expression. Dark ghost doppelganger? That was the dark ghost doppelganger exclusive to the Dark Tribe. How did it appear? Why did it have the aura of the Dragon King? Wasn't he would attribute? Boom boom. At this moment, Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and increased his speed as he charged forward. The invincible attack had a feeling of crushing everything in its path. The surrounding flames quickly retreated. Their domains were torn apart by Wang Xian. Oh no, not good. This Dragon King actually has a dark ghost clone. How is this possible? When the Fire Phoenix, who was a 6th Order Sovereign, saw Wang Xian and Dark Ghost's doppelganger charging towards them, a look of shock appeared on her face. Every Nether Ghost clone had the strength of a 6th Order Universe Sovereign. This was equivalent to them fighting against 5 6th Order Sovereigns. Even if the Fire Phoenix was burning her life to unleash a powerful attack, it would only be able to deal with 2 or 3 Dark Ghost clones. However, burning one's life force would reduce one's lifespan and might even cause one's strength to decline in the future. The price was extremely high. However, even if they had to pay a huge price, the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix had no confidence in resisting Huang Xiaolong's attack. In particular, the Dragon King of Dragon Palace possessed terrifying speed. In the face of such speed, he could only continuously release area of effect attacks. If he didn't use an area of effect attack, he would expose his weakness and be ambushed. But at this time, what should he do? His eyes revealed a trace of fear. Wang Xian and the Nether Ghost clones roared at the same time and rushed over. Phoenix Nirvana, blaze. Chirp chirp chirp. The 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix's heart trembled violently as he roared and burned his life force. Boom boom boom. Phantoms of flaming phoenixes rushed out from his body and attacked the surroundings. The indiscriminate attacks caused the surrounding fire phoenixes to turn pale. This kind of battle isn't something we can participate in. One of the fire phoenixes roared in fear. The terrifying shockwaves from the battle between 6 6th Order Sovereigns could instantly kill 1st Order, 2nd Order, and even 3rd Order Sovereigns. The group of fire phoenixes did not dare to get close. Wang Xian saw the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix burning his life force and erupting with terrifying strength. However, his so-called eruption was completely suppressed by the Nether Ghost clones even if Wang Xian did not make a move. The 4 Nether Ghost clones continued charging forward. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and appeared behind the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix in an instant. Damn it, I'm in big trouble. Sensing Wang Xian's appearance behind him, his body trembled violently. Chirp chirp. He quickly turned his body, and one of the feathers on his phoenix wings attacked Wang Xian in a frenzy. He was already burning a large amount of his life force. In this state, he couldn't even last 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, he would die. However, Wang Xian would not give him 5 minutes. When he saw the flaming feathers shooting towards him, his figure turned illusory. Nether Ghost transformation. In the next instant, his figure appeared on another Nether Ghost clone. While he flapped his unbeginning saint wings and charged forward. His dragon claws directly grabbed onto the other phoenix wing. Rip. A violent sound rang out. A miserable scream rang out. Boom boom boom. In that instant, the 3 Nether Ghost clones charged forward, and the terrifying power of darkness penetrated his body. The Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix's life force rapidly disappeared as the darkness penetrated his body. Next, it's your turn. Wang Xian ignored the Fire Phoenix. His gaze swept across the surroundings, and he instantly made his move. A Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix burned its life force and barely managed to hold on for a few seconds. What about the other Fire Phoenixes? What could they do? There was no way they could hold on. In a flash, Wang Xian appeared beside a Fifth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix. With a swipe of his dragon claws, he killed it instantly. Following that, his dragon tail swept across the body of a Fourth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix. The terrifying dragon tail caused a large amount of blood to spurt out of the Fire Phoenix's body, and it collapsed instantly. Absolute speed, a huge gap. Right now, they had no strength to resist at all. No, no, no. Dragon King, if you kill us, our Phoenix race will never let you off. A roar filled with unwillingness and anger rang out. What happened? Damn it. Activate the Fire Phoenix World Domain. At this time, the Fire Phoenixes on the blazing stars not far away had already charged over. They immediately unleashed all the power of flames they could and charged towards the area covered by the domain. Chapter 3747. The 180 Fire Phoenixes above the Sovereign Realm heard the screams as they flew over. This caused all of them to tremble violently. They immediately released their domain worlds and prepared to join the battle. Boom! However, the moment they released their domain worlds, a shockwave came from the center of the battlefield. In an instant, they felt the fiery domain worlds in the center of the battlefield disappear rapidly. The power of fire inside was also collapsing at a terrifying speed. Bang bang bang. Chirp chirp chirp. A series of terrifying collisions and the sorrowful cries of the Fire Phoenixes rang out. Everyone could feel the flames inside the domain worlds extinguishing rapidly. The life force of the Fire Phoenixes was also extinguished. Support the seniors and the rest. The 180 Fire Phoenixes in the Sovereign Realm saw this, and their hearts jumped violently as they roared. Run, run quickly. But at this moment, a shrill scream came from inside the domain worlds. Run, run quickly. This was said to all the Fire Phoenixes in the periphery. Yes, run quickly. On the battlefield, the Fire Phoenixes within the domain worlds were being hunted down rapidly. They were powerless to resist, and they did not have the strength to resist. They could not even escape. Sensing that their companions were coming to support them, they could only let out a final roar. Bang. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the next moment, even the sounds of battle had completely disappeared. The glow of the flames slowly disappeared. What the hell is going on? That's the screams of the Fire Phoenixes. It's the screams of the Fire Phoenixes. It can't be? It can't be, right? Hiss. The Fire Phoenixes are being hunted down again. Their life force has completely disappeared. At this moment, shocked voices rang out from the surroundings, and all the experts and disciples stared at the center of the battlefield in shock. This is the strength of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King? That Sixth Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix was killed. The Dragon King's speed is terrifying. He is already one of the experts in the Sovereign Realm, and in the Starry Sky cosmos, the only ones who can defeat him are the 7th Order sovereigns of the various peak races. So strong. That 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix was killed in such a short amount of time. The Phoenix race has met their match this time. Around them, the experts from the peak races also widen their eyes in shock. The rate of growth of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King was too heaven-defying. This strength was completely beyond their expectations. The fact that Huang Xiaolong had the strength of a 6th Order sovereign was inconceivable to them. In the end, the 6th Order Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix was killed by him in a short amount of time. What? Senior, they've been killed. The enemy is very strong. Run! At this moment, the most frightened and shocked ones were the Phoenix clan's powerhouses. They could clearly sense that their seniors, the experts of their Fire Phoenix sect, were all gone. Obviously, he had been killed. To be able to kill a 6th Order Sovereign Realm senior, the other party wasn't someone they could resist. They immediately made the correct choice. Boom boom boom. One by one, the Fire Phoenixes turned around and fled into the distance without any hesitation. Crash. Escape? Can you escape? You failed to kill me, and now you want to leave so easily? Is that even possible? Just at this moment, the 180 Fire Phoenixes saw a terrifying figure suddenly appear behind them. That terrifying speed was so fast that some of the weaker ones couldn't react in time. They looked at the huge body of the divine dragon and the majestic dragon head. Their faces were exceptionally ugly. They knew that once the Dragon King wanted to kill them, they wouldn't be able to escape. Dragon King, are you really going to be enemies with the Phoenix clan? Is the Dragon Palace really going to be enemies with us? One of the Fire Phoenix's expression changed drastically as he spoke. Hee, foolish thing. Still spouting such nonsense at this time. Die! Wang Xian's eyes were filled with disdain when he heard him. Everyone knew clearly who was going to be enemies with whom. If the Phoenix clan hadn't wanted to kill him in the Invincible domain, would he have interfered in this matter? At the end of the day, the Phoenix clan didn't take him seriously at all. They saw him as an ant that could be easily killed. However, this ant possessed a strength that shocked them. Boom! God's tail playing with Pearl. Wang Xian flew over and swept his dragon tail across. God's tail playing with Pearl was a huge shadow of a dragon tail with a dazzling dragon pearl on it. The dragon pearl contained a terrifying aura. With a sweep of the dragon tail, the entire dragon pearl was like a horrifying meteorite. Block it! Bam bam bam! Fearful roars rang out, followed by the sounds of collision. They couldn't block it. In an instant, dozens of Fire Phoenixes were killed in a single move. The terrifying impact caused them to lose their breath. Swoosh! Wang Xian flapped his wings and continued to fly over. The dragon claw slashed towards a 5th Order Universe Sovereign Realm Fire Phoenix. Life Dragon Breath. The dragon claw grabbed and the Life Dragon Breath from the Dharma laws surged towards his body. The Life Dragon Breath swept across and killed him instantly. He couldn't even fight back. Is this the strength of the Dragon King? The surrounding cultivators trembled, their eyes filled with awe and veneration. This was the strength of the Dragon King. One by one, the Fire Phoenixes at the Sovereign Realm were slaughtered without a chance to fight back. Since the last cataclysm, who else could kill experts from the pinnacle races? In fact, since the last cataclysm, none of the high-level races had heard of anyone killing experts at the Sovereign Realm from the pinnacle races. Even among the pinnacle races, the experts at the Sovereign Realm rarely clashed, not to mention a life-and-death battle. Today, however, they saw over 100 and perhaps even 200 sovereigns perish in the end. While they were shocked, they also felt deep respect and admiration for the Dragon King. The Phoenix race is really used to being arrogant. They think they can kill whoever they want. This time, the Dragon King has taught them a huge lesson. At this point in time, they still want to be enemies with the Phoenix race? It's the Phoenix race that wants to destroy the Dragon King. Now that they are weaker than the Dragon King, how can they say such words? How despicable! Some of the surrounding experts couldn't help but comment. The scene before them, the battle ahead, made them extremely excited. What happened today was because the Phoenix race was too arrogant. They didn't even care about the existences below the pinnacle races. They naturally hoped that an existence that treated them like ants would be killed. Chapter 3748. Run. At this moment, Wang Xian had killed nearly half of the 170 fire phoenixes on the battlefield. The rest of the fire phoenixes shrieked in despair and horror. They were unstoppable and unstoppable. Run, run, run. Swoosh. They flapped their fire phoenixes' wings and fled in all directions. Every single one of them could escape now. They're too slow. Seeing the group of fire phoenixes trying to escape, Wang Xian's face was filled with contempt. They were too slow. Was it possible for them to escape? Swoosh. Wang Xian moved and chased after them at a terrifying speed. Bam bam bam. Arg. Save me. Dragon King, the Phoenix clan will never let you off. Screams were heard continuously as the fire phoenixes were killed one by one. These were the fire phoenixes of the sovereign realm. These were the experts of the pinnacle races. One by one they fell rapidly. Run, all fire phoenixes, run now. At the last moment, a fire phoenix shouted at the disciples on the flame planet. Those disciples were the phoenixes who had yet to reach the sovereign realm. As they listened to the screams and watched the experts of their clans being slaughtered, their bodies trembled violently. Run now. They hurriedly stepped into the teleportation formation and left immediately. All the experts and disciples in the surroundings were deeply shocked as they witnessed Wang Xian's massacre. This was the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Close to 200 fire phoenixes were killed by him easily. Extremely terrifying. Wang Xian could sense the fire phoenixes on the flame planet far away fleeing at high speed, but he ignored them. The fire phoenixes below the sovereign realm were no match for these fire phoenixes of the sovereign realm. Moreover, the Fire Phoenix clan was prepared to escape immediately in case the star beast in the center of the fire heart went berserk. Therefore, even if Wang Xian flew over immediately, the fire phoenixes could still escape. However, even if they could escape, none of the sovereigns would be able to. One by one, the fire phoenixes were killed by him easily, until the last one. A total of 201 corpses. 201 experts of the sovereign realm. All of them were kept. Phew, this time, the Phoenix clan has been thoroughly offended. After killing all of them, Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Killing the 201 fire phoenixes gave him a bit of pressure. The pressure came from the entire Phoenix clan. If the Dragon Palace wants to rise quickly, war is the only way. Moreover, the Phoenix clan and the Angel clan are enemies. Wang Xian clenched his fists with determination in his eyes. He scanned his surroundings and flew straight towards a fiery star. The Dragon King is awesome. All hail the Dragon King. Good kill. At this moment, voices suddenly came from all around them. Then the voices grew louder and louder. They shouted loudly, their faces filled with excitement. Upon hearing this, Wang Xian smiled faintly. I want to use this teleportation formation. Wang Xian came to a teleportation device and said, Please, Dragon King. You can use it directly. The expert in charge of the teleportation formation said respectfully. Wang Xian nodded his head, stepped into it and disappeared immediately. When he reappeared, he found that he had already teleported far away. He flew quickly in the direction of the storm mainland. After more than 100,000 years, the storm mainland should have stored a lot of metallic meteorites. It should be enough to upgrade the Tai Chi Dragon Board and the 5 Elements Grind. Now, the Tai Chi Dragon Board and the 5 Elements Grind were only comparable to the strength of a 4th Order Sovereign. They were still 2 levels away from his current strength. I wonder how many metallic meteorites there are. Wang Xian murmured as he flew quickly in the void. With his current strength of a 6th Order Sovereign and the speed of a 7th Order Sovereign, flying in the void was already very terrifying. However, after Wang Xian left, the Fire Heart Treasured Land was in an uproar. A group of experts and disciples were arguing incessantly. Soon, a piece of news was sent to every powerhouse on the communication stone plate. This included the experts from the pinnacle races. There were many contents of the message, but there were a few that were more explosive. After more than 100,000 years, Heavenly Fire Ancestor broke through again and reached the Second-Order Universe sovereign realm. However, experts from the Phoenix race coveted his opportunities and treasures and killed him. 2 fire phoenixes killed Heavenly Flame Patriarch and stole his treasure. Then they saw the Dragon King and were killed by the Dragon King. Nearly 200 fire phoenixes attacked the Dragon King when they saw their clan's experts being killed. However, they never expected the Dragon Palace's Dragon King to be so invincible that he could kill more than 200 fire phoenixes at the ruler level. The Phoenix race is despicable. They killed Heavenly Fire Ancestor to steal his opportunities and then tried to kill the Dragon King. However, they were all killed by the Dragon King. The Dragon Palace's Dragon King is suspected to have the terrifying strength of a Sixth-Order Universe sovereign. Is this the pinnacle race, the Phoenix race? Heavenly Fire Ancestor broke through again. However, he aroused the greed of the Phoenix race and killed Heavenly Fire Ancestor. He deserved to be killed by the Dragon King. Support the Dragon King. In the future, all experts who obtain opportunities must know the true colors of the Phoenix race. News after news spread rapidly through the communication stone plate. Every disciple of the powerhouses who stepped into the starry sky cosmos had won, and they could see the contents inside. When the other experts and disciples saw the news, they were dumbfounded and shocked. Heavenly Fire Ancestor broke through again. Heavenly Fire Ancestor was killed by a fire phoenix. Fire phoenixes wanted to kill the Dragon King, but they were all killed by the Dragon King. 200 fire phoenixes were killed by the Dragon King. The news caused all the experts and disciples to be in an uproar. Even the experts of the pinnacle races were dumbfounded when they saw the news. Is this real or fake? How can the Dragon Palace's Dragon King be so terrifying? Heavenly Fire Ancestor broke through again? In such a short period of time, Heavenly Fire Ancestor broke through again. However, the experts of the Phoenix race are too despicable. They actually wanted to steal Heavenly Fire Ancestor's opportunities. How despicable! Let's not talk about the Dragon King's strength first. Why would the pinnacle races want to steal Heavenly Fire Ancestor's opportunities? Did you think it was easy for Heavenly Fire Ancestor to cultivate to this point? Could it be that experts of the pinnacle races will be hunted down by the pinnacle races when they break through? Will they be killed for their treasures? The opportunities of our 9 Origins mainland have always been occupied by the pinnacle races. Now that we've risked our lives to come to the starry sky cosmos and obtain the opportunities with great difficulty, we've become stepping stones for the pinnacle races? The news from the Fire Heart Treasure Land caused a huge commotion. This tremor was unprecedented in history. Chapter 3749. When Wang Xian left the Fire Heart Treasure Land, a large number of experts and disciples in the Fire Heart Treasure Land spread the news. It was especially so for the experts and disciples of the Sky Fire sect. Their patriarch had been killed, and their race had suffered a devastating blow. They were filled with hatred for the Phoenix race. The experts and disciples of the other high-level clans also felt a sense of sympathy for the loss of their own kind. They had risked their lives to come to the starry sky universe in search of opportunities. They wanted to obtain treasures and great opportunities to break through. The Sky Fire Patriarch was an existence that they yearned to be. He had relied on opportunities to lead his race from a high-level race to a peak race, and his strength had reached the sovereign realm. They also wanted to become an existence like the Sky Fire Patriarch. However, it was precisely because of their desire to become such an existence that the Fire Phoenixes of the Phoenix race coveted them and killed them for their treasures. How could they not be angry? Therefore, they were trying their best to smear the Phoenix race on the communication stone plate. Of course, they were not smearing them. They were just exaggerating a little. For example, they exaggerated the greed of the Fire Phoenixes and killed them for their treasures. They said that the Fire Phoenixes wanted to kill the Dragon King after discovering him. They also said that the Dragon King did not know how he had provoked the Phoenix race. He was besieged by the Phoenix race in the Invincible domain, and now the Fire Phoenixes wanted to kill him. They said that the Dragon King had no choice but to kill the Fire Phoenixes. In short, they had made a lot of changes to the situation on Wang Xian's side. They had completely portrayed the Phoenix race as evil people. Anyway, they were not worried about being discovered because they had posted the information on the communication stone plate. When the news was released, it resonated with all the experts and disciples of the high-level races. In the nine-source universe, the number of experts and disciples of the peak races was less than 1 in 100 million. In the nine-source universe, there were more weaklings. When they saw the news, they all cursed the Phoenix race. The Phoenix race is too despicable. It was not easy for us high-level races to make a name for ourselves, and they want to kill us for our treasures? Despicable and shameless. How dare they try to snatch the opportunities of the Sky-Fire Patriarch? In the future, if you encounter a treasure that you can't solve by yourself, don't contact the Phoenix clan. They might kill you after obtaining the treasure. That's possible. One of our ancestors discovered a dozen or so vital planets. However, they were occupied by a giant star beast. Our ancestor contacted the Phoenix clan. However, we couldn't contact that ancestor anymore. Now, it seems that he was most likely killed by the Phoenix clan's experts. One by one, the disciples sent a message through the communication stone plate. Soon, a disciple began to talk about the Phoenix clan. No one could distinguish the authenticity of this piece of information, but at this moment, everyone agreed that the Phoenix clan should have killed the senior who had provided them with the information. Despicable and shameless. Sinister and evil. They viewed the high-ranking races as ants. One label after another was placed on the Phoenix clan. In short, the Phoenix race had become the common enemy of all the high-level races. Even the powerhouses of the peak races were dumbfounded when they saw this. Big Brother Hu Wen, was the situation at the Fire Heart Treasure Land as described on the communication stone plate? I was at the Fire Heart Treasure Land, and I saw it with my own eyes. The heavenly fire ancestor had indeed broken through. 2 fire phoenixes killed him because of a groundless crime. The Dragon King appeared at the side, and he ridiculed the 2 fire phoenixes. Then, the 2 fire phoenixes attacked the Dragon King, but they didn't expect the Dragon King's strength to be so terrifying. He killed the 2 third-order Sovereign Realm fire phoenixes in an instant. When the other fire phoenixes saw their clansmen being killed, they wanted to kill the Dragon King. In the end, the Dragon King showed his terrifying strength and killed all of them. The Dragon King is indeed terrifying. He has the strength to kill 6th-order sovereigns. His cultivation speed is simply heaven-defying. On the communication stone plate platform of the Divine Tiger Clan, a Divine Tiger Clan member was inquiring about the news from the Fire Heart Treasure Land. This Dragon King is really abnormal. He ridiculed the Fire Phoenixes. Obviously, he predicted that they would kill him. He must have done it on purpose. The Dragon King and the Phoenix race have a grudge. The disciples of the Phoenix race had besieged him in the Invincible domain. The Dragon King must have done it on purpose. He knows that he can kill the Phoenix race with his strength. That's why he's not afraid. He might even want to take revenge on them. Doesn't that mean that the information on the communication stone plate is different? Even if it's different, we can't say it out loud. We can't say it in the name of our Divine Tiger Clan. The Phoenix race killed the Heavenly Fire Ancestor and snatched the Gemstone Hammer. They have already incurred the wrath of the public. If we say it out loud, the experts and disciples of the other high-level races will think that we're protecting them. Although we don't need to care about those high-level races, the cultivation tribulation is coming. Right? Although we don't need to care about those high-level races, every time the cultivation tribulation arrives, there will always be experts from the high-level races who rise up and obtain great opportunities. This matter is the Phoenix race's fault. They shouldn't have killed the Heavenly Fire Ancestor. An expert of the Divine Tiger Clan said from the communication stone plate of the Divine Tiger Clan. Although the peak races didn't care about the high-level races, the high-level races would still play a big role when the Cultivation Tribulation arrived. There was another point. When the Cultivation Tribulation connected and the passages of the various universes opened, there would be treasures everywhere, and there would be killings everywhere. There would always be people who could rise up in the Cultivation Tribulation. Because the number of disciples and experts of the high-level races was countless times that of the peak races, there would always be people who were lucky enough to obtain great opportunities and rise up. Moreover, because of their numbers, the probability of rising up was not lower than that of the peak races. Therefore, when the Cultivation Tribulation arrived, the peak races wouldn't look down on the other races. Now that the Phoenix race had incurred the wrath of the public, they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't get involved. The Divine Tiger clan knew the specific reason, but they wouldn't spread it. The other peak races were the same. At this time, the Phoenix race had incurred the wrath of the public. They had already crossed the bottom line of those below the peak races. However, at this moment, dozens of phoenixes were standing guard at the entrance of the passage between the Nine Origin universe and the Starry Sky universe. When they saw what had happened inside and learned about the incident at the Fire Heart Treasure Land, their faces instantly turned gloomy. The message from the communication stone plate, in particular, made the eyes of the Phoenix tribe's powerhouses burn with anger. A large number of experts of the Phoenix race had been killed. The communication stone plate was full of bad news about the Phoenix clan. Chapter 3750, Boom! That damned Dragon King. He actually killed our Phoenix race's experts. He's courting death. Outside the World Passage, a fire phoenix's body was instantly engulfed in raging flames as it roared with a cold expression. According to the news from their disciples, the fire phoenixes at the Blazing Heart treasured ground, a total of 201 Sovereign Realm fire phoenixes were all killed by the Dragon King. This was the greatest loss to the Phoenix race since the last cataclysm. It was also the first time they had suffered such a loss. More than 200 universe ruler-level experts. These were experts that the Phoenix race had spent a large amount of resources to nurture. They had actually lost over 200 of them in one go. The Phoenixes had ugly expressions on their faces. Who would have thought that the Dragon King was strong enough to kill a sixth-order universe sovereign? Not far away, the Green River Phoenix furrowed her brows when she heard the news. The Dragon King's strength had completely exceeded her expectations. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, he had plotted with the third prince of the Radiance Angel race to kill the Dragon King. At that time, even though the Dragon King was invincible in the Invincible domain, she did not take him seriously. Even if one had the strength of a second-order universe sovereign, or even a third-order universe sovereign, she would still be able to kill him easily. But now, the Dragon King actually had the strength to kill a sixth-order universe sovereign. That was terrifying, especially the speed of his growth. Based on this speed, would he reach the 7th order, 8th order, or even 9th order sovereign soon? If that was the case, it would be terrifying. Too terrifying. She suddenly felt that the ant in her eyes had grown into a huge beast. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful beast, one that could cause the Phoenix race to suffer heavy losses. Elder, it's not just this matter. Those ignorant experts in the communication stone plate have slandered our Phoenix race. One of the Phoenixes spoke to the Fire Phoenix in the center with an ugly expression on his face. The public opinion in the communication stone plate was too powerful. Even the universe artificial intelligence had some information about it. It would not take long before the entire Nine Origins universe knew about this. This would greatly affect the reputation of the Phoenix race. We don't have to care about those ants. The most important thing now is to kill the Dragon King. The elder of the Phoenix clan in the center growled with a gloomy face. This matter was a great humiliation and loss to the Phoenix clan. The Dragon Palace's Dragon King had killed more than 200 of their ruler rank experts. They had to avenge this. Elder, that Dragon King already has the strength of a ruler. We should send people to the Dragon Palace right now and destroy it. A Phoenix said with a murderous look on his face. The Dragon King's strength had obviously reached the Sovereign Realm, which meant that the Dragon Palace had entered the ranks of the top clans. Then they could directly send experts to destroy the Dragon Palace. There was no need to care about the rules. I'll inform the other elders about this and let them head over personally to destroy the Dragon Palace. The elder in the center said with a murderous aura. The group of fire phoenixes nodded slightly. Elder, I've received news from my side. Some of the information in the communication stone plate was deliberately slandering us. It was the Dragon King of Dragon Palace who provoked the members of our Phoenix clan first. That's why the experts of our Phoenix clan attacked him. That Dragon King had planned this all along. A fire phoenix reported to the elder. That Dragon King is purposely making an enemy out of our Phoenix clan? The Phoenix elder's eyes turned cold as he said coldly. Because of the Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix, our Phoenix clan has long become enemies with the Dragon King. This time, he must be taking revenge on us. The Fire Phoenix said as he looked to the side. The Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix frowned slightly. Elder, in the past, I sent some disciples to kill him in the Invincible domain. But I didn't expect an ant like him to grow to such an extent. The Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix replied immediately when she saw the elder looking at her. No matter what, this Dragon King must die. If you want to kill that Dragon King, I'll teach you. Enter the Starry Sky universe and kill that Dragon King. The Phoenix Elder ordered the Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix. Yes, Elder. The Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix's face turned ugly as she nodded her head coldly. She was a 7th Order Sovereign Realm Water Phoenix. She could enter the Starry Sky universe. The Xinjiang Aqua Phoenix was more talented and had a strong background. Initially, she didn't want to enter the Starry Sky universe. After all, it was a dangerous place and she didn't lack resources. But now, she had no choice but to enter, because this matter had a lot to do with her. Dragon King of Dragon Palace. A tinge of viciousness flashed in her eyes. She didn't expect an ant in the past to be so powerful. Now, she had to deal with it herself. Wang Xian didn't know what happened on the communication stone plate. While he was flying in the void of the Starry Sky universe, he had already given an order to Enlai and Prime Minister Turtle. Move the Dragon Palace. Rely on the Void Pagoda to move the Dragon Palace. First, move the Dragon Palace to a hidden place in the Nine-Source universe. Wang Xian was originally prepared to move the Dragon Palace to the Nine-Source universe. But after some hesitation, he gave up. The changes in the Starry Sky universe were even greater. The Nine-Source universe was so huge. With Enlai's Void Pagoda, it was easy to find a hidden place. Even the experts from the peak races would have a hard time finding it. After giving instructions to the Dragon Palace, he quickly flew in the direction of the Storm Continent. Because of the teleportation, coupled with his speed, it didn't take long for him to arrive at the location in front of the Storm Continent. He flew over quickly and came to the place where the meteorites were flying. His eyes swept across and a smile appeared on his face. Everything was stable. As he gazed in the direction of the Storm Continent, he saw an extremely terrifying star behemoth dashing towards a metallic meteor and swallowing it in one gulp. 4th Order Universe Sovereign Realm. He thought to himself as he swept his eyes across the giant space beasts. The strongest among the giant space beasts should be around the 6th or 7th Order Universe Sovereign Realm. After all, this wasn't the center of the Starry Sky universe. Even so, this group of giant space beasts wasn't something Wang Xian could handle. Currently, he could only kill 3rd Order Sovereign Realm giant space beasts. Even 4th Order Sovereign Realm giant space beasts would be hard-pressed to deal with. After all, his strength was suppressed by 3 levels. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.